presided over the meeting. The president reached Gusau helipad at about 10:40 a.m. after taking off from Umaru Musa Yar'Adua International Airport in Katsina. The governor of Sokoto State and Kebbi State, Aminu Tambuwal, Atiku Bagudu, some ministers, traditional and religious leaders, top government officials were among those that received the president. He is scheduled to address traditional rulers and other stakeholders during the visit and condole with families and communities that suffered from various forms of violent crimes in the state. Fulani headsmen have killed 2 people at Shesemaka, Umenga and Guma local government area of Plateau and Benue State, and burnt down some houses. Report says the victims were hacked down in their farm by headsmen who killed and destroyed their farm produce. The headsmen were said to have moved into a nearby village and set houses ablaze. According to reports, the victims had left for the farm when the headsmen attacked them. A former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, says 3 million Nigerians have registered with the Coalition Movement of Nigeria, CMN, formed to effect political change in the nation ahead of 2019 elections. Obasanjo called citizens to ensure they have their voters' card ahead of the 2019 elections. The former president disclosed this while speaking at the 14th Annual Lecture of Women in Management, Business and Public Service held at the Eco Hotel and Suites, Lagos. He said the coalition, in conjunction with other movements, is the way out of the nation's political problems. The former president also said the movement would make an inroad into the grassroots across the country, maintaining that it will pull out of the CNM when it transforms into a political party and sponsors persons for elective office in future elections. The Debt Management Office, DMO, says it has raised 64.06 billion naira towards the implementation of the 2018 budget through the issuance of Federal Government of Nigeria bonds. DMO disclosed this in Abuja, saying the bond auction is oversubscribed as investors staked a total of 142.81 billion on the issue. You will recall that the DMO has conducted the third in the series of FGM bond auctions for the year on March 21st to raise funds for the implementation of the 2018 budget. 16 headsmen who were suspected of kidnapping officials of the West African Examination Council WAEC in Kishi area of Oyo State have been arrested by State Police Command. The suspects, who were nabbed by the police working with local vigilante, were allegedly recruited from Zamfara State by a kingpin who is also from Zamfara. Commissioner of Police in the state, Abiodun Odude, who disclosed this, said the gang kidnapped many people and killed some of them with huge ransom collected before they released some of their victims. Parents have been advised to instill good reading culture and positive attitudes towards education in their children. Education experts who gave this advice in Port Harcourt believe that improving reading interests of Nigerians will help address the massive decline in reading culture. Speaking at an event organized in Port Harcourt as a means of encouraging good reading habit among students, wife of River State Governor Justice Eberichi Wike said focus must be on sound education to enhance good communication skills amongst children in the society. She appealed to parents to make education for the girl child a priority, while stressing the need for quality education at various institutions must be put in the right perspective to develop reading habit, a view corroborated by others.
Every girl child the opportunity to achieve education, at least give them that stepping stone, that foundation that they need to build on. You have done everything that is possible that you can do for that girl child, as well as even the boys too, because you've given them a platform upon which they can build and better their lives. So education, and I want to put information together with that, because of course with education we get informed. And if you're not informed, of course they say information is power. If you're not informed, you will not know how to behave in different circumstances. You will not know even how to exchange pleasantries. There's so many things you will lack if you don't have information. We all need to learn, and learning, of course, is continuous and never ends.
It goes back to the quality of our institutions as a country, the quality of governance, how responsive governance is. If government becomes responsible, a government does what it has to do, it will follow naturally that the right facilities will be in place, infrastructure will be in place, teachers, the attitude of teachers to teaching will be better, teachers will be better trained, and if they are better trained, they will give their best to their pupils and students. The atmosphere of education will improve, and so it's not magic. It's about how you build the institutions that drive development in a place.
Some residents blamed poor reading culture and economic hardship in the country, insisting that poverty affects concentration ability when studying.
If you have a country that is unstable, people are constantly displaced. You don't expect reading culture to be viable in such a place. If you have a place where people are grappling with the basic issues of existence, you don't expect reading culture to be viable in such a place. So, what the government has to do is to keep put the country on a path of progress, and every other thing would follow.
Parents should ensure that they go to read. But you see, in most cases, though not applicable to my own case, sometimes also have to refer to the general society. When children come back to school, they are immediately sent away to do menial jobs or hawk wares and things like that, do other menial jobs. And this greatly affects the reading culture. And once parents don't appreciate the importance of reading, it's difficult for the children to do otherwise, because it is parents that should monitor and enforce the habit upon the children.
Education experts urge parents to encourage their wards to read at least one book daily or weekly for improved communication skills. The father-in-law of former President Olusegun Obasanjo, Christopher Abebe OFR, has died at the age of 99. The news of his death was announced by his son, John Abebe. The late Abebe joined the United African Company Nigeria Limited as a young clerk and rose through the ranks to become the first Nigerian chairman managing director of the company. He is survived by his wife, Theresa Abebe, children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. You're watching SuperScreen News at 10. We'll take a break now. When we return, we'll take some news from the business world. Stay with us. Welcome back, and now for some business stories. The Senate has confirmed the appointments of Aisha Ahmad and Edward Adamu as deputy governors of the Central Bank of Nigeria. The Senate also approved the nomination of 3 of the 4 members of the Monetary Policy Committee. The confirmed MPC members are Adeola Festus Adeni Kinju, Aliyu Rafindadi, and Robert Chikwendi Asogwa. The confirmation follows the adoption of the reports of the Senate Committee on Banking, Insurance, and Other Financial Institutions. In the report on the MPC nominees presented by Chairman of the committee, Senator Rafiu Ibrahim, the panel said Maidugu is considered not qualified to occupy the position for which he was nominated. The President Muhammadu Buhari has dropped the hint during his visit to Zamfara State after Governor Abdulaziz Yari's request for the refund of the 56 billion naira being owed the state on federal road projects it is executed. The president said he had directed Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, to compile all outstanding payments of refunds to the states that implemented federal projects to specifications. Buhari said the refund would go a long way in addressing the security problems facing Zamfara State. Zamfara State Governor Abdulaziz Yari, who doubles as the chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum, called for additional deployment of security personnel to the state to check incessant cases of armed banditry across 13 of the 14 local government areas of the state. Now, the co-chairman of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Bill Gates, says the federal government's economic recovery and growth plan is not reflective on the people's needs. Gates disclosed this in a special session of the National Economic Council held at the Old Banquet Hall of the Presidential Villa Abuja, alongside the chairman of the Dangote Foundation, Alhaji Aliko Dangote. According to Bill Gates, the country would do better with investments in health and education rather than concentrating on physical infrastructure to the detriment of human capital development. The House of Representatives has passed a bill for second reading, primarily to stop the Minister of Mines and Steel Development, Kayode Fayemi, from initiating or concluding any concession plans on Ajaokuta Steel Company Limited. The House also tried to stop the planned concession of the Ajaokuta Steel Company Limited by seeking to establish a completion fund for the project. A bill for an act to establish the fund passed second reading at the House in Abuja yesterday. 301 out of the 360 members of the House jointly sponsored the bills. The tradings on the Nigerian Stock Exchange closed on a positive note after dropping for 6 consecutive days, with the all-share index improving by 0.33%. The index rose by 138.36 points, approximately 0.33%, to close at 41.633.79 against 41.495.43 achieved on Wednesday. Also, the market capitalization inched the which opened at 14.844 trillion, closed at 15.040 trillion. GlaxoSmithKline followed with a gain of 2.25 to close at 24.30, while the Nigerian breweries appreciated by 1.90 to close at 127.90 naira per share. On the other hand, Axis Bank topped the losers chart, shedding 65 kobo to close at 11.10 naira per share. You're watching SuperScreen News at 10. We'll take a break now. When we'll come back, we'll take some news from the foreign scene and some sports stories. Stay with us. If you're just joining us, this is SuperScreen News at 10. And on the foreign scene, United States President Donald Trump has signed an order that paves way for imposing tariffs as much as $60 billion worth of Chinese goods import, prompting China to threaten in retaliation. The move is seen as a direct shot in a brewing trade war between the world's two biggest economies. According to Trump, the measure is aimed at punishing Beijing over the alleged theft of U.S. technology and Chinese pressure on American companies to hand it over. The White House said President Trump would direct the Office of the U.S. Trade Representative to publish a detailed product list of proposed tariffs within 15 days. Trump is also asking the U.S. Treasury Secretary Stephen Mnuchin to come up with a list of restrictions on Chinese investment. And now the report says nearly 24 Yemenis were beaten, tortured and arbitrarily detained by militias affiliated with the United Arab Emirates in southern Yemen. The civilians were rounded up and driven from the port city of Aden by the UAE-created security belt, a force set up in 2016 to police southern areas in the war-ravaged country to active front lines in the province of Taiz and Sana'a. Shops, restaurants and homes were